investigation, solving mysteries in the night. Chasing shadows, finding answers, shining bright light. No one's left behind in the darkness, all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be, for justice wheels keep turning, Granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. When Granny's crime busters run, no victims left in vain. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voiceless and the missing, she'll stand tall. In a world full of shadows, she fights the unseen, a guardian of the truth in this wicked dream. Every story told brings her back to life. Granny's on the case, cutting through the lies. She guards the broken hearted from a world that hides. With unwavering spirit, she wears no disguise. Searching for the lost pieces of a shattered life. Granny brings the dawn after a longest night.
Hello, everybody. Everybody's having a good day so far. Come on in. We're going to continue to examine statements in the Sebastian Rogers case, right? Now, I know that there has been some, like a picture of part of a video that's been out. Hello, Maui's son. Good to see you. I'm aware of that. And, honestly, I guess I thought thought about showing it today. But where that video leads is not really where I want to go, if that makes any sense to you. Here on Granny's Crime Busters, we are believing that Sebastian is still alive until or unless we have evidence, factual evidence to prove that he's no longer with us. And why do we take that stand? Because if Sebastian were my child, I would not ever give up hope that he was alive. And I know that that's the way Seth feels. At least that's what he's been saying to us, right? So, unless there's actual evidence, I'm not going to entertain anything. And I'm not saying it's wrong for anybody else to do so. They're well within their rights. Nothing wrong with that. That's their opinion, and that's fine, right? Certainly not something that I'm going to criticize at all, because we don't know yet if it's evidence or not, right? So, there's just some things that unless it's evidence, I'm just not going to show, and that's one of them, right? What I did want to do, though, is show an interview, kind of a person that analyzes an interview. And we're just going to get right into it. Okay. All right. So, the description or the link is in the description for the video. It's by Never a Truer Word, and they're analyzing Seth's statements in the Nancy Grace interview. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get it started.
Hello and welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And we're back with the Sebastian Rogers case for this episode. Sebastian went missing a few months ago at the time of recording. There's been no information about him. He certainly is still missing at the time of recording. It's a really, really sad story. Sebastian was 15 at the point that he went missing. We're going to look at Seth Rogers today. Seth is Sebastian's natural dad. Seth and Sebastian's mum have split up, so he was spending his time between his two parents. I did this story before, and I looked at Seth's mum, Katie, and stepdad, Chris. You can find a link to that in the show description if you want to take in that. And I found some interesting things in the words of Chris and Katie. I thought that something happened that night. That's the Sunday night before Sebastian was announced missing. I thought something happened that night. Something happened, and whatever happened, it caused Sebastian to leave, because they kept talking about that Sunday night, even though they weren't asked about that Sunday night. I thought whatever it was, some incident or fallout or something like that, was related to Sebastian's behavior. I wondered if the wider family were involved in some way, and I didn't see signs of guilty knowledge. That is, I felt they were hiding something from us. I felt they were concealing things, especially about that Sunday night and their real feelings about Sebastian's behavior. But I didn't see signs that, well, they were hiding a deep, dark secret, shall we say. I didn't see those signs in Chris and Katie. We're going to look at Seth. A lot of people asked on the back of Chris and Katie to have a look at some statements from Seth. So we're going to do that. Let's judge him through the same lens. So this is what I asked you to watch out for when we were looking at Chris and Katie's words: repeated words and ideas. So this quite often reveals our true thoughts, reveals what's high up in our brains and our thinking systems. They come out in repeated words and ideas. Look at the tenses that are used. Quite often, if someone knows that someone who is missing isn't coming back, they will refer to that person in the past tense rather than the present tense. And look for hidden truths, things that come out when we talk that are revealed in the way that we speak. So let's judge Seth the same way as we looked at Chris and Katie. And we're going to watch an interview that he did with Nancy Grace. Now, this interview took place about 3 weeks after Sebastian was reported missing. So here's the first question and answer that we're going to look at.
Could you recount for us when you learned Sebastian is missing? I know it just seems completely surreal.
Son, there's no words for it. I mean, when I found out that he was gone, I was just like, I headed over to Katie's house, see what was going on, and he's not.
Okay, and it just dawned on me that I know we're all waiting for the interview, the new interview with Seth and Nancy Grace. Guys, this is an old one. Okay, so I don't want anyone thinking that this is the one that we're waiting on, right? I haven't heard anything on that one yet. I heard it was going to be released today. I don't know if that's true or not. And we'll go over it here. Not tonight, but not today, but we will go over it when it does come out. But I just wanted to make a quick note that this is not that one. This is an older one that this man was analyzing. And I have to say that in the beginning, when he was talking about his thoughts on Katie and Chris, I don't necessarily agree with, but that's my opinion. And we haven't watched that one. But if we have overwhelming response that you guys want to watch that one, we can. All right, let's continue on.
Here. I don't know where he's at. I've been looking for him every day. It's just.
So the question Nancy asked was, could you recount for us when you learned Sebastian is missing? I know it just seems completely surreal. And Seth's answer is, oh yeah, there's no words for it. I mean, when I found out that he was gone, I was just like, I headed over to Katie's house, see what was going on, and he's not here. I don't know where he's at. I've been looking for him every day. It's just, and it trails off. My first thought here was, did he answer the question he was asked? He's asked, can you recount for us when you learned Sebastian is missing? And he says there's no words for it. I think that talks to the second part of Nancy's question, which was, I know it seems completely surreal. And he deals with that by putting what completely surreal is into his words, which is, there's no words for it. That, to me, is dealing with completely surreal. There's no words for it. He's asked, can you recount for us when you learned Sebastian is missing? So actually the question really points to when Seth learned Sebastian is missing. And he doesn't say when in terms of giving us a day, a date, or a time, but he's recounting when. And he says, when I found out that he was gone, I was just like, I headed over to Katie's house. So he tells us exactly what he did at that moment when that happened. I'm interested here when he says, I went to Katie's house, see what was going on, which is kind of in the past, but in the present. He wanted to see what was going on at Katie's house, not what had happened, but what was going on. He really was dealing with that in the moment, almost like the message that he got
Ginger.
just didn't register or make sense to him. So he had to go over to Katie's house to see what was occurring at that moment, not what's happened in the past, but what was happening at the moment he got there. And does he answer the question? Well, I think he does, because that very first part of the answer, there's no words for it. I mean, when I found out that he was gone, I was like, I headed over to Katie's house, see what was going on, and he's not here. So he does answer the question. The rest is extra. And when someone goes extra and says more than what is asked for in a question, there's a reason for it. It's something they want to get across. Quite often with people who are on the defensive or people who are lying, that extra is a pre-prepared story, something they really want us to know, something they're comfortable talking about because they've thought about it beforehand. Here, Seth's extra is, I don't know where he's at. I've been looking for him every day. It's just, and it trails off. So why has he added that extra? Well, could be that it's true. And really important to him. I don't know where he's at. I've been looking for him every day. It could be important for him to get across to everyone how he has been looking for Sebastian every single day. So he's gone extra, but it doesn't seem to be storytelling. It doesn't seem to be alibi building or anything like that. It seems to be a high priority in his head, which is he doesn't know where his son is. Here's some more from the same interview.
Seth, what have you been doing to find Sebastian?
Been handing out flyers every day. I've been on some podcasts. I've done some face-to-face interviews on the news. I'm just anything I can. I've been to the south side of Nashville. I've been to Franklin. I've been to Bellevue. I've been through Henderson. I've been through Gallatin. I've been through Clarksville. I've been through Oak Grove, Kentucky. I mean, I'm handing out flyers, finding out. I mean, I want everybody to see my son and know that he's missing, and that if you see him, call 911. I need my son back.
The first thing I noticed, and it's the very first word of his answer, is he drops the pronoun I, which sometimes talks to us about a lack of commitment to the answer. He doesn't say, I've been handing out flyers every day. He just says, been handing out flyers every day, which makes me think, ooh, is there a lack of commitment there? Is that really what he's been doing because he hasn't had the pronoun I at the beginning of it? But then he talks about I all the way through. I've been on podcasts. I've done some face-to-face interviews. I'm just anything I can. I've been to places. I've been through. So he talks about I a lot there. So I think there is a lot of personal detail in that answer. The full answer was, been handing out flyers every day. I've been on some podcasts. I've done some face-to-face interviews on the news. I'm just anything I can. I've been to the south side of Nashville. I've been to Franklin. I've been to Bellevue. I've been through Henderson. I've been through Gatlin. I've been through Clarksville. I've been through Oak Grove, Kentucky. I mean, I've handed out flyers, finding out. I mean, I want everybody that to see my son and know that he's missing. And then if you see him, call 911. I need my son back. What I noticed there is a lot of detail on where he's been. He name checks a whole load of.
Maui son, you bring up a really good point. You know, he's devastated, and I'm amazed that everything he's saying. He did do all this, right? We knew because we watched him do this, right? We also watched him search, and until he couldn't anymore, and and then finally, I mean, I think there came a point where he knew he needed other help, right? Investigative help. But yeah, I can't even imagine what he was feeling like and what he's been dealing with 11 months in now, right? And no, I just got to say that the new stuff that is coming out, if there's anything to it, we don't know, right? Because I'm just going to say this, guys. I'm just going to put that out there. So the new video or the new picture that came out is from the flashlight video. Okay. Now, the mob said this, right? The mob said that the copy that came out was an actual video copy of what was on that camera's hard drive, because police took the hard drive and have never returned it. So the original copy is gone. So people have been using copies of the copy. And anyone knows that once once something's copied, you lose, pixelation. There's light imaging problems. There's all kinds of stuff that could happen, right? I'm not saying it can't be enhanced. I don't know, right? Because I don't do that kind of stuff. So I don't know. But I am saying that I'm not going to call something absolutely for sure unless there's hard evidence from the original copy to prove it, right? So, that's my thoughts on that particular piece of information. Ginger, no worries that you were late. Good to see you. So, I do have to wonder how Seth feels with that information coming out. That's in my thinking. If it were me, I'd be saying I'm not going to believe anything until I have proof, right? That would be my thought on that picture. So, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it was put out by originally the creator's name totally went over my head just that. I'll think of it and I'll let you guys know. Well, in the meantime, we'll continue on.
Places in that answer. Less detail on what he's been doing to find Sebastian. How he refers to the places is very interesting. I've been to the south side of Nashville. I've been to Franklin. I've been to Bellevue. So he talks about these places as places he's been to. And then he says, I've been through Henderson, I've been through Gallatin, I've been through Clarksville, I've been through Oak Grove, Kentucky. I wonder what the difference is in his mind about going to somewhere and going through somewhere in strict dictionary definitions. He's actually been to those places, stopped there, and taken them in. Whereas the places he's been through, you could have just driven on the highway all the way through them, and you could say you've been through them. But potentially going through somewhere actually means you've been more rigorous. You've gone through it and done a lot more there than just the places you've been to. I don't have an answer. I don't think it's suspicious, but there's an interesting differential there between some of those places that he's been to and some of those places that he's been through. He's asked, what are you doing to find Sebastian? I said he's very detailed on where he's been, less detailed, although not no detail, but just less detailed on what he's been doing. And I think it's very clear what he's been doing is raising awareness, handing out these flyers, going on podcasts, doing interviews on the news. He's not been searching, as in out in places where Sebastian may be looking to see if he can find them. And that is not suspicious at all. In fact, the father of a missing boy probably is more useful raising awareness, going on these podcasts, going on the news where they've been invited to, rather than doing something that anyone else could have done, which is the physical searching process. He says, I've handed out flyers, finding out, and he stops that thought and then says, I mean, I want everyone that stops that thought to see my son and know that he's missing. And I wonder what that finding out part of that is. I've handed out flyers, finding out. I mean, I want everybody that. I wonder what he's been finding out. Whatever he's been finding out, he doesn't want to tell us because he stops talking about it and starts talking about something else.
In my opinion, he stopped talking about what he was going to say because he wants to keep the focus on Sebastian. I think he was going to, well, I'm not even going to try to reference what he was going to say there. Right. He wants to keep the focus on Sebastian, and Seth has been really good about that. I didn't really agree with this guy's analysis about doing things that anybody else could have been doing. In other words, searching. Well, I don't, I mean, yes, anybody can search, right? I guess. But Dad out there searching, Dad knows Sebastian, right? Dad hollering for Sebastian. If Sebastian was out there and he heard Dad's voice, that would make a difference, right? So if he was out there searching, it wouldn't be doing just what anybody else would be doing, right? It would be a little bit different, so I didn't really agree with his take on that part.
And that's something else is I want people to see my son and know that he's missing. And if you see him, call 911. So he's well happy
Me
for
too,
the authorities
Ginger.
to be involved here. He's not asking for people to come directly to him, put a note on Facebook and say, I think I've seen him or anything like that. He's asking them to call 911. No fear of the authorities there in Seth's word. And does he answer the question, what have you been doing to find Sebastian? The vast majority of that answer states what he's been doing, the activities he's been doing, the handing out flyers, being on podcasts, interviews on the news, the places he's been, Nashville, Bellevue, Franklin, Henderson, Gallatin, Clarksville, Oak Grove, Kentucky, and handing out flyers he mentions again. So he deals, a lot of that answer deals with the question that he's been asked. He's not jumped into a story that he wants to tell, but he's listened to the question and his answer matches the question, apart from one little extra bit at the end, which is, if you see him, call 911. I need my son back. So this is the second question we've looked at from Seth, or the second answer we've looked at from Seth, and he's gone extra, and his extra is the same thing. I need my son back. And if you see him, call 911. Here's the process that will get my son back. Here's some more from...
You know what I like? Seth said, I need my son back. He didn't say, I want my son back. He said, I need my son back. right? And that's the way a parent feels, right? I need him back. Because they're a part of you. You need them back to feel whole, right? You know, and Seth has described the way he's felt many, many times about not, his life isn't complete. There's an emptiness, right? He has said it so many times. And that would be the way I'd be feeling.
From Seth talking to Nancy Grace.
Tell me your understanding of what happened.
Katie told me that when she woke up Monday morning that he wasn't in his room and she can't find him. And I heard that once I got there. When I got off of work, I had a text message from the stepfather, Chris, and a missed phone call. And I called him and he told me that Sebastian was missing and he didn't know what had happened.
So he's asked, tell me your understanding of what happened. So tell me your understanding of what happened. And he starts with, Katie told me. So this is letting us know that his understanding, the word that he has had to take as to what has happened, isn't his personal understanding. It's what Katie told me. And later on, he says that Chris has told him that Sebastian was missing. So his knowledge, what he's saying in his words, his knowledge and his understanding of what has happened is third hand. Katie has told him something and Chris has told him something. And I think this may be significant. He doesn't have his own point of view as to what happened, or he's not expressing his own point of view as to what happened. He is passing on what other people have told him. Bit of interesting present tense. That Katie woke up on Monday morning. He wasn't, past tense, in his room, and she can't find him. She can't find him. Not past tense, she couldn't find him, but she can't find him. However, the rest of that is all as we would expect for past events in past tense. Katie told me he wasn't in his room. I heard that once I got there. When I got off work, I had a text message and I called him and he told me Sebastian was missing and he didn't know what had happened. So there's one bit of, I've said, pay attention to the tenses. There's one little bit of present tense in there, but the rest really reliably in the past tense. He's asked, tell me your understanding of what happened. Does he answer the question? He tells us his understanding of what happened, and he told us where this understanding comes from. And note that his story starts at the same time as he said previously, when he found out that Sebastian was missing, is the Monday morning. And he tells us once more the story for him starts at the same time. This can be quite significant quite often, and we saw it with Chris and Katie. When you're asked, tell us what happened, where someone starts the story is very interesting. So I'm paraphrasing slightly here, but Chris and Katie were asked what happened. And instead of starting the story on Monday, I woke up and Sebastian wasn't there. They started telling a story about the Sunday. Sunday was a great day. They had lots of fun. And then they came home and Sebastian went to bed. And then the next morning he was missing. And I asked, why did they start the story way, way back? Why does the story not start when they think Sebastian, when in their words, when they found Sebastian was missing? Here, Seth, reliable. His story starts at the same time, and that's the communication from Chris to Seth.
That's a really good point that he brings up, guys. He is saying how Chris and Katie talked about the night before and how Sebastian had a good day, a wonderful day, and right? Instead of going straight to the point, I woke up Monday morning at 6 a.m., went to wake him up, and he wasn't there, right? Because that's when it starts, right? But in Chris and Katie's mind, it doesn't start that way. Why is that? Hello, Jackie O. Yeah, it was funny. It was really funny. She had me laughing so hard. No worries, K9, I understand. um, So I thought that was interesting when he brought that up. That Chris and Katie started on Sunday. Why did they go there, guys? What happened on Sunday? Right? I mean, I'm just saying, hello, got change. Blessings back to you. What happened on Sunday that's why they start the story there? Seth starts the story on Monday when he found out when Sebastian went missing. So I found that kind of interesting, and it's something to think about, guys. It's something to, something to kind of look at. What is the reason that they start their story on Sunday? I don't know. That's just really bothering me right now. I'm really wondering what the reason is that they start the story on Sunday.
Say that Sebastian is missing. He does answer the question, but he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't say, I don't know what happened. He does say that Chris told him he doesn't know what happened. He really doesn't know for sure, for certain, what happened in his answer there. Nancy continues with another question.
So, Seth, what time did you get to the home that day?
I got the message at about 7:20. I was there at about 8 o'clock.
So immediately. When you got to the home, tell me about the state of the home.
The home was clean. I mean, it looked like it normally did when I walked in.
So
that's important. Okay. Because Seth is actually saying the house was clean, but it looked like it normally did. So the house was normally clean. It looked like it normally did. Okay. So he's not saying that the house smelled like bleach and oh my God, he's not saying that. He said the house was clean. It looked like it normally did.
Oh, were there any signs of forced entry at the front or back door or on Sebastian's window that you could observe?
No, there was none.
Was anything stolen from the home?
Not that I was informed of.
I talk about extra in answers so much. When someone says more than they were asked and goes into more detail than they were asked or touches on topics that they weren't asked about, it can be extremely revealing as to what that person's game is when they're talking. And if you look at the first couple of questions there, the replies are so straightforward. What time did you get to the home that day? I got the message at about 7:20. I was there about 8 o'clock. Now, I know he wasn't asked what time he got the message, but this is his way of working it out. If I got the message at 7:20 and it takes me roughly 35, 40 minutes, it would be about 8 o'clock by the time I got there. Very straightforward answer. When you got to the home, tell me about the state of the home. The home was clean. I mean, it looked like it normally did when I walked in. So there's no agenda in Seth's answers here. There's no attempt to persuade us of something or to bring in new topics that he wasn't asked about. He's just listening to the questions Nancy asks and giving her the information that she requires.
In my opinion, he does really well for being asked questions about his missing son, right? He's being straightforward. I got the message about 7:20. I was there by 8 o'clock. And if you figure out from Davidson County to Hendersonville with traffic, it's like Nancy said, immediately. As much as you can. You went right there, in other words. So let's continue.
And nothing extra. That continues. Were there any signs of forced entry at the front or the back door or on Sebastian's window that you could observe? This is a perfect answer. It's a yes/no question. Were there any signs of forced entry? Yes, there were. No, there weren't. He says, no, there was none.
It's a
then
really
this is
good
the most
point, K9.
interesting part of that section. Was anything stolen from the home? And he says, not that I was informed of. Once more, he's not answering for certainty. He's saying, not that I was informed of. And I think this may be indicative that he doesn't
Hello,
trust the
Cheryl.
words of Kate and Chris. I'm not saying something was stolen from the home. I'm not saying they're lying about what was anything being stolen from the home. I just think that he is taking what they're saying around all of this with a pinch of salt, and he doesn't want to stand up and say he believes what they told him, say for a fact things that he's heard from them, because he's not entirely sure that he's hearing the truth from Katie and Chris.
So, in my opinion, were there any signs of forced entry? I get her asking that because maybe he could have seen something, or maybe he heard something with the police and Katie and all that. Was there anything stolen from the home? I don't understand why Nancy asked him this, because it wasn't his home, right? I mean, how else is he going to say it? Not that I was informed of, right? Because, you know, all he would be, if there had been something stolen from the home, he would have to then say, well, they said that such and such was taken from the house. It's third party information, so I'm not really certain why she asked that, except I think she's trying to make sure it's not a burglary gone wrong kind of deal or something.
Chris.
I'm trying to understand. That morning, your wife calls you, your ex calls you about 7:20 a.m. Would that have been
No.
on a school day?
No, it was her husband that called me.
Okay. Was that at 7?
It was her husband that called me, but I wanted to bring up. No, this isn't the new one. This is an old one that this guy is kind of looking at. I haven't heard yet. I heard that it was supposed to drop today, the new one, but I haven't heard anything yet. And I know that Jennifer Coffindaffer is on allegedly right now. So everybody, when I change the time and then everybody it's so frustrating, guys. It's like, okay, I don't want to compete with anybody. What time slot do I need to pick? So I think they formed a script and she had to stick to it to tell the story, and the story starts Sunday with fun fact. Yeah. And CP once said that roller coaster ride began Sunday as well. So, yeah, I mean, what are we missing, guys? That's my thought. What are we missing? What are we missing from what they have said on Sunday? Right? What are we missing? That Chris and Katie start the story on Sunday. I'm trying to think of, is there anything that we missed? The fun fact, spaghetti pancakes. Google it, everybody. Weird thing to say when your child is missing. Is that weird or is that me? Why would you say fun fact? Google it, everybody. Why would you say that? I don't know. Yep, 4 Central Time. It's right now it's 4:40. All right, let's continue.
20 a.m.
No, 7:20 a.m. is when I got to my vehicle because I got off of work at 7. My shift ended at 7. By the time I found out to make sure that I didn't have to stay over or anything, then I got to my truck about 7:20, and they had texted me and tried to call me on my cell phone at around 6:20.
And you found out about it at 7:20. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Rogers, did he go missing on a school day?
From my understanding, she put him to bed Sunday night, and yes, Monday morning he's missing.
Now, this is more interesting. Nancy says, I'm trying to understand that morning. Your ex calls about 7:20. Would that have been on a school day? And he corrects her that it wasn't his ex that called. So he doesn't answer the question, but he is making a correction, because if he answered the question, then potentially he would be answering a question that's based on falseness. No, it was her husband that called me. Nancy says, okay, was that at 7:20 a.m.? And he says no. So it's a yes, no question. And he answers with no. And then he goes on to tell events of how this all transpired. 7:20 a.m. is when I got to my vehicle because I got off work at 7. My shift ended at 7. By the time I found out to make sure that I didn't have to stay over or anything, then I got to my truck about 7:20, and they had texted me and tried to call me on my cell phone at around 6:20. So this is really linear in the telling of it. He tells the 7:20 was when he finished when he got to his vehicle, and he goes back to explain why that is. I get off work at 7, my shift ends at 7, I have to hang.
Well, in my opinion, he was just trying to correct her because he didn't want any misstatements to be out there. And I don't blame him, right? She did the same thing with Chris and Katie. She made it seem like Chris was in the home. And Chris ended up going back and saying, no, I wasn't there, right? I don't know if I thought maybe that might have been a trick on her part, but I think she does get things a little mixed up once in a while. And she says, your ex calls at about 7:20. No, he didn't call at 7:20. I got the message at 7:20. He called around 6:20. And it wasn't Katie. It was her husband that called me. So he's trying, and he tried to explain it then. So he made sure that what she's putting out there is accurate. Honestly, if it were me, I don't think I would have had the frame of mind to be able to correct her. I think I just would have been talking and rambling on, and I need my son, and I don't know that I would have been able to catch what she was doing. The other thing I wanted to point out is it's really a big difference between the way that Seth looks when he's talking to Nancy and the way that Chris and Katie looked when they talked. Do you guys remember that? They looked, I don't know. To me, they almost look scared of her. Seth is just himself. Seth is just Seth. And watch that as we go through this some more.
Hang around a bit to make sure that I don't have to stay over to do an extended shift. Got to my truck and realized that I had phone calls from previously that I didn't know about before. They tried to call me at around 6:20. It's very linear in telling, and once more, it's really consistent timing with everything that he said before. Nancy says, and you found out about it at 7:20. Is that correct? He says, yes, ma'am. Wow, that's so straightforward. Okay, Mr. Rogers, did he go missing on a school day? And this answer is less straightforward.
Okay. I think you mean photo, not phone, K9. And yeah, before you got in here, I kind of addressed that. I still can't remember the name of the original creator that put that out there. But what I will say is that the mob crew even said, so that enhanced photo was supposedly from the flashlight video. Okay. And Chris from the mob crew explained that that video was actually a copy of a copy. So the homeowner had taken a video copy of what was on her camera's hard drive with her phone, because police then took her hard drive and they still have not given it back. So they have the original copy. Okay. So anything from that video is copies of copies, guys. Okay. And technology is lost. Light is manipulated. I mean, there are things that are, that are lost. Pixels. I mean, you name it when copies are made. And even the mob says that, it's very, very hard to figure out shapes in that video because it's been copied so much. Light sources are manipulated and just, so it's very, very difficult. Now, is it true? I don't know. Can it be enhanced? I don't know. I'm not a professional. Are the people doing this professionals? I wonder that. But still, what I'm going to say is that now it was one thing to line up the pictures and where the lights were. I think that was a pretty easy thing to do. He just had to line it up accurately, right? But when you're talking about trying to see images, actual people in the dark and light sources, that's a little bit different, right? So whether it's true or whether it's not, we're still going to keep our stand here on the fact that we believe that Sebastian is alive until we have actual evidence, actual proof from law enforcement stating that he's gone. Until then, we're going to continue with the fact, not the fact, we're going to continue with the supposition that he's alive. Okay. So don't let that picture, because we don't know that picture is real, guys. We don't. Is it scary? Yes. Yes, it is. But we don't know that it's true. We don't. So Jackie said they started the story on Sunday to make sure everyone knew he had a great day. Yeah. Yeah. And Katie did shove the phone up in Seth's face as soon as he got there. See, he had a good day. And it wasn't even from that day. It was from the day before. So obviously they were not on a three-way call at 6:20. Nope, couldn't have been. Yeah, they look scared to you too, Jackie. Yeah. No worries, K9. Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think that's the one, right? And yes, Ginger, law enforcement is still looking for a child that's alive. And that's what we need to keep going by. Okay. So, that's going to be our stand here until we know differently. Because think about it, guys. If that photo isn't real, if it's been manipulated wrongly or something, I'm not saying anybody did anything purposely. Please don't think that I'm saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But sometimes you know how when they put those things on Facebook or other, and they say try to find this and or try to see how many faces you can see, and your eyes play tricks with you, right? Shadows, lights can play tricks with you. And if someone tells you you're seeing something, you're probably going to see it, right? So, if it turns out that it's not true and Sebastian is alive, I would hate to push that narrative. Well, I just won't, because if Seth ever comes into our chat, I don't want him to hear me saying, he's gone. Oh, he's gone. No. He's going to hear us saying, we believe he's alive and he's coming home. That's what he's going to hear us saying. All right, let's continue.
He says, from my understanding, she put him to bed on Sunday. She put him to bed Sunday night, and yes, Monday morning he's missing. So, okay, Mr. Rogers, did he go missing on a school day? Number one, that's a yes/no question. Yes, he did. It was Monday. No, he didn't. It was Sunday. However you want to phrase it. Yes is the correct answer to this. Okay, Mr. Rogers, did he go missing on a school day? Yes, ma'am. It was Monday. He could have said, but he doesn't. He gives a long answer to a very easy question. Did he go missing on a school day? From my understanding, she put him to bed Sunday night, and yes, Monday morning, he's missing. Why does he bring Sunday night into it as well? Does he know more, or is he like us? Maybe just like me, suspects that something happened on that Sunday night that caused Sebastian to go missing. Does he have questions about what happened on that Sunday night?
I'm sure he does.
When he's asked, when did Sebastian go missing? The first thing that he mentions is the Sunday night, and then Monday morning, he's missing. It's a long answer to a very easy question. Even more interesting is the fact that, once more, he's not taking Chris and Katie's word as gospel and passing it on as fact. He's qualifying it. So when did Sebastian go missing?
That's interesting.
He's not saying this is when it happened. He's telling us what his understanding is of it. From my understanding, she put him to bed Sunday night, and yes, Monday morning.
I never noticed that he does that, guys. Have you? Have you ever noticed that Seth doesn't qualify what they're saying? He tells what they said, right? From my understanding, this is what they said. Katie said, Chris said. I never realized that before.
He's missing. So we do have a yes in there for did he go missing on a school day, but for some reason he's telling us that what he's been told, Sebastian was put to bed on Sunday night, and then on the Monday morning he's missing. I think he has questions about what happened on the Sunday night too. More from Nancy now.
Seth, when was the last time you can verify that he was alive and well?
When I talked to him on Thursday.
Simple question, simple answer. When was the last time you can verify that he was alive and well? When I talked to him on Thursday. Such a clean, clear answer. Nothing extra, no attempt to convince us of anything, no attempt to persuade us of anything there. A very straightforward, very direct answer.
Seth Rogers, have you been asked to take a polygraph?
No,
Would you be willing to take a polygraph?
I volunteered.
What did you think of that? Seth Rogers, have you been asked to take a polygraph? No. Would you be willing to take a polygraph? I volunteered. These are yes, no questions. Both of them can be answered with yes or no. Seth Rogers, have you been asked to take a polygraph? No. Straightforward, very believable type of answer. Would you be willing to take a polygraph? He doesn't say, yes, I would, or no, I wouldn't. He says, I volunteered. So I'm interested there. Would he be willing to take a polygraph? He's volunteered to do it in his own words, but he didn't say yes straight away. He just said, I volunteered. He's a need to persuade us that not just he would be willing to take a polygraph, he was in front of this and has volunteered to take a polygraph. I don't know. Very interesting. I don't know why he didn't just say yes there. So far, he's been really straightforward. He's directly answered most of the questions that he's been asked. He hasn't gone extra on a lot of things, but on the polygraph question, he claims, I volunteered. What you think so far? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget, if you want more episodes like this, the subscribe or follow button is a great way you can become a member of the YouTube channel. Not only did you get early access to this episodes, nothing so the important whether you get in touch would be really please.
Sorry, guys.
all
I'm
of the
just
content.
moving it
Oh, he
forward.
was alive and well, say at 3:30 on Friday afternoon. Who saw him other than the parents from that afternoon, 3:30-ish, till we find out he's missing on Monday morning?
I don't know who else.
Seth. So I don't
I don't
have
know.
any proof of life between Friday afternoon and Monday morning.
I haven't been informed of anything. My only proof of life would be Katie, his mom.
Nancy asks, I know he was alive.
Okay, so this must have been before he saw the TRH video, right? Because he didn't know yet. Ginger, I noticed now, yeah. Isn't it something how we can go back and look at things and pick things out? It's funny. But so yeah, this was before he saw the TRH video, right? And he didn't even see that whole video. I don't think they only just showed him walking to the car, right?
And while say at 3:30 on Friday afternoon, who saw him other than the parents from that afternoon? 3:30ish till we find out he's missing on Monday morning. And there's a huge, huge long pause while he thinks about his answer to this question. So he doesn't have a prepared answer. He doesn't just jump in by saying things and that maybe don't even directly reference the question.
I honestly think that when Nancy asked Seth this question, it hit him. And that's probably when he went back to police and said, I want last proof of life. Right? Is this question what prompted Seth to go to police and ask for that? That's what I think. Because it did take him a while. Any other question he's been right on top of answering. It took him quite a while to think about it. And I think it hit him that he doesn't have it. He didn't have proof of life. Since when he talked to Sebastian on Thursday. That was his last proof of life until he saw the TRH video. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you get better soon, SRB. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Just pauses, thinks, what is it I'm going to say? And he says, I don't know who else. Now, truthful people have not one problem saying the phrase, I don't know. You'll find that in so many truthful people. They don't mind saying, I don't know this. And that's what Seth does here. He says, I don't know. Liars, deceivers, people that are hiding something feel a need to fill a gap. So rather than saying, I don't know, they will give you an answer that infers something or says something because they hate, I don't know. It's almost like a failure of the lie, isn't it? Or a failure of the deception. If you have to say, I don't know, because we do think maybe it lacks confidence, maybe it lacks certainty. Well, he does lack certainty because he doesn't know and he's not afraid to say, I don't know. Nancy says, so I don't have any proof of between Friday afternoon and Monday morning. And he says, I haven't been informed of anything. My only proof would be from Katie, his mom. So we've got that concept again of I haven't been informed of anything. So, like, does he feel he's been kept in the dark? Does he feel that people should be talking to him more? Or is it that he feels that things are being hidden from him? That's the feeling I got when I
All of the above, right? The one thing I want to point out here is that Seth is always Seth. He is who he is. He doesn't apologize for it. He just, and it doesn't matter who he's talking to. It doesn't matter that he's talking to Nancy Grace or if he was talking to you or I. He'd be saying the same thing. He is who he is, and he doesn't try to be anything different.
analyzed the words of Chris and Katie, that they were hiding things, they were concealing things, they weren't telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I wonder if that's what Seth has picked up on, whether he's noticed holes in the story or whether he just has this sixth sense that this doesn't all ring true. But certainly, once more, he is not able to talk with certainty and even say he believes the things that Chris and Katie are saying. He says, I haven't been informed of anything. My only proof would be from Katie, his mom. Interestingly, not Chris brought into this, just Katie, his mom. So I think he's got real questions about what happened.
Could you tell me the level of the severity of his autism?
He's very intelligent. He's very smart. He just lacks social skills and reading of people's body language. He likes things to be in a routine. He likes to control his environment.
So this is Seth talking about the autism of Sebastian. He's asked, could you tell me the level of severity of his autism? And he says he's very intelligent. He's very smart. He just lacks social skills and the reading of people's body language. He likes to be in a routine. He likes to control his environment. First thing here I've got is that everything is in present tense.
No,
He's very
SRB.
intelligent. He's very smart. Lacks social skills. Likes things to be in a routine, likes to control his environment. So the answer there is in the present tense. 3 weeks after Sebastian went missing, Seth is talking about him in the present tense. A very good, very reassuring sign. And when he's asked about the severity of his autism, he goes to the positives of autism, or Sebastian's autism. He's very intelligent. He's very smart.
He's very intelligent. He's very smart. He gives positives, unlike the other side of the family, right? He does say what areas he has an issue with, but that's what she asked. Can you tell me the severity of his autism? Right? That's what she asked. But he started out with positives.
He talks about Sebastian's autism in the benefits that autism brings to Sebastian's life. He's very intelligent. He's very smart. Then he goes to a negative. He lacks social skills in the reading of people's body language. It's fair enough. It's just truthful and honest. And then he talks about some more
No worries,
of the way that
SRB.
the autism
No
shows up
worries.
through Sebastian. He likes things to be in a routine and he likes to control his environment. So instead of seeing these as a negative, which we could, everything's got to be a routine with him, otherwise he's not happy. And if he can't control his environment, then he gets really grumpy or upset. No, he talks about it through knowing the way that Sebastian likes to be in. That suggests he's empathetic with Sebastian. He knows what Sebastian likes. He knows the way Sebastian likes things. And if we get things that we like, we get happy. So when he's asked about Sebastian's autism, he talks in very positive terms about him being intelligent and smart, and then talks about what Sebastian likes. I think this is someone who liked to make Sebastian happy by working with him so that things were in the routine, so the environment was able to be controlled by Sebastian, so that Sebastian was happy and settled. Compare that answer that Seth has given there with Katie and Chris when they were asked a very similar question.
Compare that. Yeah.
As far as his way of thinking of things and maybe how determined he was about certain things or his mindset, Katie says Chris said he's got a stubborn mindset. If he believes it's this, Katie, he gets on a one-man track and he's just on it and he's all about it. Then Chris says, but I mean, he's very smart. He can play chess. He can beat adults in chess. He loves playing games. So the first thing that they went to was Sebastian's stubbornness and this fact that the fact he can get on a one-way track of thinking and it's very hard to get him out of it. So they started with,
what a difference between them and Seth. They start out with the negative and then realize what they did, right? But I mean, he's very smart, right? They recognize what they did and tried to bring it back around, but it was too late, right? Seth started with the positive, touched on what the severity of the autism was, but then talked about the way Sebastian likes things, right? And yeah, the new one, we never know when they're going to drop it, do we? I mean, it just when national people like that, we never know when they're going to drop their stuff. Me too. Me too, Ginger. Maybe most of us, because of our mindset, right? We've got a stubborn mindset. No, honestly, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? I'm not pointing this out. This guy is, right? I mean, it is. How many times have we seen this happen, guys? How many times have we seen this happen where they have examined and come up with this stuff? I mean, we see things and we come to kind of somewhat of a conclusion, but we don't really understand why until we see it analyzed like this, right? And then we're like, wow, this totally makes sense. No wonder I was feeling this way. No wonder I was thinking that this person is responsible, right? No wonder I relate with Seth, because he's just being real, right? Yeah, focused and determined. Exactly. And those are two positives, unlike what he likes to say is he's brash but respectful. But you can't be both. Because brash means being disrespectful. That always irritates me when I hear him say that, because you cannot. I encourage you guys, look up the meaning of the word brash. you will see the word disrespectful right underneath it.
Perceived negatives of Sebastian's behavior and then brought in the positives of he's very smart. But it's a very, very different way of talking about the autism. You'll notice as well between Chris and Katie, slightly different. Katie says he loves
Exactly, Jack.
playing games. So she does talk about what makes Sebastian happy. He loves playing games. Chris talks about his ability. He can play chess. Not he loves to play chess or he really likes playing chess or he enjoys playing chess. He can play chess. So he talks about the ability that he has. It's a very different answer.
And here's the thing. I don't think Seth would have brought up anything negative, but she asked him what was the severity of his autism. Right? So I think that's why he said what he said, but his whole statement was mostly positive. But these two, it's completely different. I mean, how many negatives about Sebastian have we heard from these two? What this guy is showing on the screen here right now is mild compared to what we have heard overall in interviews from these two about Sebastian.
Katie and Chris talking about Sebastian's autism than the one that we got from Seth. And now Nancy has a final question.
What are your final thoughts?
I know you weren't, Jackie.
I'm just looking for my son. I want him to come home. I need people to look at his picture. Keep your eyes up and keep your head up. If you see him, please call 911. I need my son back.
I need my son back.
Do you think he left that home alone?
I have no idea what to think. It's not like him.
Seth, am I missing anything?
I'm missing something. This puzzle just isn't making sense. There's missing pieces to it. There's
There
just
really
missing
are.
pieces.
You keep saying that a piece of the puzzle is missing. Something is missing. It doesn't add up. What do you mean by that?
Something it doesn't add up. For him to break routine and to leave the house with no shoes, no socks on, no coat, something just doesn't make sense.
Nancy says, what are your final thoughts? And that final thoughts signals to Seth, this is the last thing I'm going to ask you.
So, and Jackie, I knew you weren't referring to Seth, but I had a feeling that if anybody watches this video, that's where some people are going to go, right? They're going to say, well, he said some negative things, right? So that's why I brought it up that way. I knew what you were thinking. So I wanted you to know that I know you didn't mean it that way. Seth words break my heart. Yes, I agree. Keep this young man alive and keep people looking for him. Absolutely. You know, and here Seth was trying to tell Nancy, in essence, he was asking for help, guys. He was asking for help with the answers because he was trying to tell Nancy something isn't right with what they're saying without saying that he was pointing the fingers at them, right? Because he's right. And 11 months later, there's still pieces to the puzzle that are missing, right? And Seth doesn't have any more answers today, or very many more answers today than he had back when he made this video, when he had this interview. She was trying to get him to come out and say it. I'm glad that he didn't. Right? I'm glad he didn't at that point.
Also, what are your final thoughts? But you can't go extra there, so you can just get it all out. And the first thing he says, I'm looking for my son and I want him to come home. That's his priority. I'm looking for my son and I want him to come home. He does say, I'm just looking for my son. So he's asked what your final thoughts are. And he says, I'm just looking for my son. Just is an interesting word. Just is used to focus and narrow our focus. So this is the only thing I'm doing is looking for my son and I want him to come home. But quite often there is more going on than the just. And just is used to direct our attention away from some other things. So what else is in his final thoughts? I think this will come out as he talks some more. He's asked, do you think he left that home alone? He says, I have no idea what to think. It's not like him. Now, no idea is not the same as don't know. Don't know is really reliable. I don't
Seth
know
knew
something.
his son.
No idea is quite often deceptive. And by that, I mean that we all have an idea. Yeah, we all have an idea. So you may say, I've no idea what's happened to Sebastian. You yourself, you've followed the story. You may say, I've no idea. Actually, you have more than one idea. There's all sorts of possibilities floating around in your mind. What that means is there's not one thing that you want to get out there. There's not one thing that you want to talk about. I have no idea what to think. Again, this suggests to me that he has some ideas. There is some thoughts going around in his head that he's not being told the truth or things have been kept from him. He does say, in response to the question, do you think he left that home alone? It's not like him. Now, when something's not like him, that doesn't mean they've never done it before or there's no possibility of it happening. It's just not like him. Like, he's made some typos in that document. It's not like him. That's not, he's never made a typo before. It's just unusual. So I do wonder, if Sebastian has shown any signs of wanting to get away from home before. Nancy asks, Seth, am I missing anything? And Seth says, I'm missing something. The puzzle just isn't making sense. There's missing pieces to it. There's just missing pieces. In that very short answer, he says the word missing 3 times. Now, the word missing was introduced by Nancy in the question, so I'm not saying there's anything suspicious about this. Also, he is the father of a missing boy at the time he's talking. The boy has been missing for 3 weeks, so the missing things is going to be really high up in his priority. But he's not just missing something, the puzzle just isn't making sense. And I think again that he knows something is going on or feels that he hasn't been told anything. And if he was, the puzzle would make sense. Nancy pushes him on this. You keep saying that a piece of the puzzle is missing. Something is missing. It doesn't add up. What do you mean by that? His reply is something, it doesn't add up. For him to break routine and to leave the house with no shoes, no socks on, no coat, something just doesn't make sense. So once more, we've got this sense from him in his words, it doesn't add up. Now, when do you use the phrase, it doesn't add up? Quite often when you've heard someone talking, isn't it? Or you've watched an interview with someone on a documentary or something like that, or you've heard a story from one of your kids and you're going, it doesn't add up. So I think, again, this is him feeling that he's not been told the full truth. He says something just doesn't make sense.
He's right. It doesn't add up because he hasn't been told the truth, has he? We all feel that. We all know that, don't we? 11 months later, going into 12 months, it still doesn't add up. All their detail about Sunday going into Monday doesn't add up. Something. It doesn't make sense. He's absolutely right. Right. No, they're talking like it's just a given. He walked out that door. He disappeared like a ninja. That's conclusive. No. Children just don't vanish. Unfortunately, there's no magic. He can't be a ninja. Right? Yes, that was a piece. I mean, I think that 99% of the puzzle pieces were missing. Okay. We've gotten a few. We've gotten the CPS reports. We've gotten the flashlight video. That's a piece. I really believe that's a piece. Right? But there's still pieces missing. There's still pieces missing. I mean, we could even say that them wanting to get rid of Sebastian, that could be another little piece of the puzzle, right? Because it was information we didn't know before, and that could go toward motive, right? Is another piece that Chris was fighting for Faith, for custody for Faith. Is that another piece? I don't know, guys. Right? Can you think of any more puzzle pieces?
Once more, it's not a complete mystery. It's the fact that there is something, and he keeps talking about it doesn't add up and something doesn't make sense. I think he's got a real feeling that he's not being informed of everything, that there's something missing from what he has been told. So that is Seth's words at the beginning. I said, watch for repeated words and ideas. So did you spot any? The ones I spotted were, my son is missing. I need my son back. And also about calling 911. I saw that a few times in the interview. Those were the words and ideas that I spotted missing, as well as being informed of things and not wanting to pass those on as factually true, but wanting to say, this is what I've been told. So it's a qualified truth. In tenses, apart from one or two little tense things that were interesting, reliably in the the present tense, when talking about Sebastian, especially when talking about his autism, it was all about who Sebastian is. Nothing was about who Sebastian was. And hidden truths, again, I think for me, it was the fact that he just talks about what he's been informed of and where his understanding of events comes from, which is Chris and Katie's words. I think that is something that is very highly prevalent for him. So, in conclusion, Seth, his answers to the questions are simple, very little extra. And what is extra is not storytelling or alibi building or direction shifting in a way that we.
He's not storytelling or alibi building or direction shifting. Right? Seth is just who he is. He doesn't feel the need to give an alibi because he's not guilty of anything. He's not telling a story because he has no story. He only has the truth. He's not trying to shift any direction, any which way, because there's only one direction in his mind, and that's to get Sebastian home.
He wouldn't want it to go consistent. His telling of the story is consistent with no contradictions in them or anything that I can see like that. And it's very direct. He's asked a question and he answers the question. He listens to what he's been asked and provides the information that he's been asked to provide. All that indicates he's telling the truth and he is not hiding things, especially events. Apart from the lie
He's not hiding things, especially events.
detector question. Got a question mark over that for some reason. That he didn't just say, yes, I take a lie detector, but he says, I volunteered. And volunteered in the past tense, not I'm volunteering, or I would volunteer in the future. It's I volunteered in the past tense. There's something about the lie detector question that makes me wonder what is going on. But let me not labor that because he was so simple, consistent, direct, which indicates that at that point, 3 weeks after Sebastian went missing, he was very truthful in that interview with Nancy Grace. Your thoughts in the comments or get in touch on social media.
Okay. So Let's see. Mom's behavior. Oh, yeah. That whole video is a puzzle piece, right? Or maybe several, right? But yes, her behavior. That's very true. Her behavior. Hmm. Yeah. So, did you guys find that interesting? I did. It's kind of funny how you can go back and you can look. And I don't know, this reinforced how I think about Seth because I've always thought that Seth is real, right? And this just reinforced that, you know. Um, he's just straight, he's to the point. He, you know, he he is who he is. He doesn't apologize for it, right? And you can't help but like a person who is that way because they're very comfortable in their own skin. Aw. Hello, Reach for the Sky. Good to see you. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, and then him going back and just kind of talking about how, you know, Seth brought out the positives of Jackie or hello, Jackie. You can tell I'm trying to reach out while I'm talking and it doesn't work. Um, he brought out the positives of Sebastian, whereas the other side brings out the negative first, right? Until they realize what they've done, and then they, oh, but he loves games, and oh, he's good at chess. He can beat adults at chess, right? And so, quite the difference there. um, so yeah. Almost confused you for Sebastian, Jackie. Oh goodness. But yeah, so I thought that was a good one to show. If you guys want me to show the same guy talking about Chris and Katie, we can. I'll just say up front that I don't really agree with his assessment of them. But you know, I'm willing to play it and discuss it if you guys want to. But as for anything else that's going on with Sebastian, things have been pretty quiet other than the enhanced photo today. Other than that, nothing from At Night, Nick, Hong, in regards to the Sebastian Rogers case. Oh, I did see a post by the Proudfoot's PI that said, time to move on to another case. Are there any other missing children out there anywhere? I don't know what that means. Yeah, which I do plan to go and rewatch because I think she started at the same time we did. So I guess we should all maybe do that. I can even, if you guys don't have the time tonight to go, I might just show it tomorrow and we can discuss it. So I guess that's something that we can take a look at tonight and even talk about tomorrow on our live stream. Hopefully she does have some new information. I'm hoping it's not about the enhanced photo. Oh. I really trust her. So um, I'm sincerely really hoping that that photo is fake. Or I don't want to say fake because I believe the person that put this out there really believes it, right? And really believes that that's what they see. Okay. I just hope that what they think they see is wrong. That's what I'm hoping, right? I'm not trying to cut anyone down by any means. Okay. So, I'm going to leave you with my grannyism for today. Honesty is more than not lying. It is truth telling, truth speaking, truth living, and truth loving. When I saw that today, I just absolutely fell in love with it because it's telling the truth, it's speaking the truth, it's living the truth, and it is loving the truth, right? So think about that. It's your grannyism for today. Honesty is more than not lying. Truth telling, truth speaking, truth living, and truth loving. I would hope not, Ginger. I would hope not. I would hope not. But I'm going to go and be on the rewatch crew for it. So, guys, I hope you have a wonderful night. And we will see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granniescrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.